should you sell your home furnished, how it can help or hurt in the sales process. So I can tell you from experience, we haven't seen a lot of homes sell furnished. It's generally more common when you're dealing with cash purchases or really high-end real estate. But it's not something we see a lot of unless that's the case. And so some drawbacks to selling your house furnished. If you got really crappy stuff.
I'm cringing. I'm cringing as we talk about this subject, because the worst is when somebody calls, and we love all sellers, but when they call and they say, and, you know, or when you take a tour, and you know what, we'll sell this place furnished for anybody that wants to buy anything.
17 years ago we paid 17 years ago we paid 20 grand, and we know the house is worth 250, but we want to ask 270 because it's furnished. So first off, most people are going to want to put their own furniture in the house. They're not gonna keep your stuff. That's part of the home buying process and kind of part of making it your own. In those rare circumstances where you're going to buy a home and Airbnb it, or you're buying a really high-end home that's got really high-end finishes that were picked out by a decorator specific to the house, those are those rare circumstances where it might make sense. But a lot of financial reasons why buying a home or selling a home furnished causes problems. Number one, putting the furniture into contract throws up red flags with the banks. The banks want to appraise real property. The more personal property you add into that, if a loan is getting done, the more problematic it can be, because then they want to know, well, how much is this furniture really worth? How can we evaluate the furniture? And it causes a lot of problems. And I think a lot of home sellers overestimate the value of the furniture as it compares to the real estate transaction, because most people, number one, aren't going to want it. And number two, by the time you've lived in it for years and years and years, the thousands of dollars you paid for it, it's almost valueless now. It's not really worth anything. Unless, again, you're talking about, you know, like Steve and Julie Weintraub's house that we're selling right now. Over $3.35 million list price and a couple $100,000 worth of really high-end furniture. I mean, Tiffany lamps and, really, really high-end stuff. Okay, it makes sense there for that customer. In that situation, the home was custom designed with that furniture in mind, but the typical, average home in Tampa selling it furnished, it creates a lot of financial problems.
And also, another place where it makes sense is something like a vacation home, like down
Correct,
in Sarasota.
a condo or something like that.
Down in Sarasota, I've sold a couple of properties, and the sellers wanted to sell the furniture, the buyers wanted to buy the furniture. But, I have seen, and I know you have seen, and maybe Nathaniel's even seen, but I've seen so many deals fall apart when people come in and want to start talking about the furniture that they want. Or, I mean, it can come down to a couch that they want, and all of a sudden they're fighting with the seller and the buyer over this. And it's just something that, you don't want the transaction to fall apart because somebody gets offended over purchasing furniture.
And then here's the other thing, as a home buyer, bumping up the purchase price to cover insurance is going to raise your tax assessment. You're going to pay property taxes, insurance. You're going to pay extra money for years and years and years because of adding the furniture into the purchase, especially if you're financing the majority of the purchase price. But Robert's right. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it where the seller wants to include furniture and then they want to take something out and then the buyer wants to add something. My preference would be, hey, let us sell the real estate, let them buy the real estate, and then when we get really, really close to closing, AKA this isn't clouding the home inspection period, we're not renegotiating during that or get all of the conditions out of the way, then introduce buyer and seller and let them hack out agreements over the furniture. We also run into some licensure law type stuff when we're we have real estate licenses that allow us to negotiate the sale of real property, selling personal property, selling a mobile home, selling a trailer. All those things are gray area liability for real estate agents where you certainly in my preference, you put the buyer and seller in touch with each other and let them hack out when the deal is already set in stone. But sellers will make the mistake because they don't want to move the stuff, they want new stuff, they want to include it, and then there's some hassle. Oh, I found out there's a broken couch leg, and I want you to fix it. I want you to become a furniture repair person and fix the couch so that we can close this real estate transaction. So my preference is, again, in the rare circumstances it makes sense and it's really nice stuff, okay, throw it in. Don't expect that you're going to get a lot of value in it. Sell your furniture because it's convenient for you to include it. but don't expect a lot of money. And then secondarily, make sure that it's clear that the furniture is considered valueless in terms of the real estate transaction, so they don't come back and say, oh, I found a stain in the couch cushion, and the deal blows up because they find that that the furniture needs reupholstery or cleaning or something like that, which happens regularly. So
And nobody really wants your pool table.
no, no one.
I hate to tell. I mean,
we get it all the time.
Yes,
I'm
the
going to leave the pool
pool
table
table,
because I know they'll really want it. No, they really won't.
Yeah, well, and
They're leaving it because they don't want to move it.
Right, exactly. And it's not, again, like you said before, it's not helping the real estate transaction. A bank doesn't want to see it on a contract. You can't
You don't
put
want
it
to
on
drive
there
your
because
taxes up.
Correct. So it's not something that you're not going to finance that furniture in your purchase for 30 years. So,
Again, the luxury market or the vacation property market, it makes sense. Super high end where it's cash transactions and the furniture is like really high end stuff specific to the house, it can make sense. But those are just rare circumstances. So most of the time, selling the house furnished, it causes some problems. And we're going to continue this conversation talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show.